Then about when I was 19, I started feeling like God was doing something for me and wanted me to go to Bible college. So I heard about a Bible college in Atlanta, Georgia, known as Beulah Heights Bible College. It is a Pentecostal Bible college. The spillover of the Azusa Street revival went east. It ended up there in a brush arbor, actually. And so now this college has been there since 1918, and I wanted to see if they would accept me. So I got their address from somewhere, and I wrote them a letter, and they sent me what they call in those days a catalog prospectus, and I got that. I filled out the application. I sent it out. They accepted me to be their student, except for the fact that if you are an international student, you need an American to underwrite you, known as a sponsor. But let me correct that. Not just an American, but an American with money. There's a big difference between, yes, no broke American. Somebody who could prove with bank statements that I got extra cash. So I didn't know anybody, but they needed a sponsor, and they needed $1,000 as a down payment. This is 1972. However, there was a couple by the name of Bob and Vivian Steinbaugh from Pasadena, California, who came through our church on a Sunday night service. And as I told you earlier, in those days I used to play the accordion. And so they sang, preached, I played the accordion for them. And that's the only American People's address I had, 1555 Old Oak Road, Pasadena, California. So I wrote them a letter. Dear Bob and Vivian, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I'm the kid in India who played the accordion for you. I have made application to Beulah Heights Bible College in Atlanta, Georgia. They have accepted me as a student, but they need somebody to underwrite my education. And if you want to, then you can send them $1,000. I want to ask you a question. What's the worst answer I could have got? How many of you know there's life after no? So to me, a no is simply a deferral. It's just a delay. So I read them the letter. In those days, a letter would take 3 weeks to come from India to America. And I was really not even expecting an answer back from them. About 6 weeks later, I get an answer back from them. Dear Sam, we remember you. We have prayed about it. We want to support you. We've already sent $1,000 to Beulah Heights. I came over here because of a bowl of rice and $1,000. Now you need to know something about Bob and Vivian Steinbaugh. Bob and Vivian Steinbaugh, saw them twice in my life. The first one was when I was just playing the accordion and they were singing and doing whatever. I was just doing my thing. But there was no conversation. The second time I saw them was 1977 when I graduated from Bible college and they came to my graduation in Atlanta. And I spent maybe an hour with them. They invested in my life with no guarantees. They had no idea that I'd be in Kearney, Nebraska, lifting up the name of Jesus. They had no idea I'd be traveling all over the world doing what I do. But I'm here because bowl of rice and $1,000. So life was good. Life was good. They kept sending checks. And I was doing well. But then 1974 happened. 1974 is when we had the oil crisis. Some of you will remember in 1974, I know gas is what, $100 a gallon right now? But in those days, you could not get gas. How many of you remember when all the people, the odd-numbered license plates went Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Just to let these young people know, can all the old folk raise their hand? Hey, raise it high, you know who you are. There you go. And all the people with even number plates went and got gas on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Everything was closed on Sundays. People are losing jobs. Remember in those days, if you got a mortgage with a 20, 21% interest, it was like you had a testimony. We didn't have Facebook in those days, but we had, Face and Book, and we were told somebody about it. During all of that turmoil, my meal ticket Bob in Pasadena lost his job. The trickle down effect. When he lost his job, I was the trickle down. So he wrote a letter to the college saying, I don't have a job right now, so I can't support Sam. So I thought I'd just go get myself a job. But to be a legal worker in the United States, if you're a foreigner, you go down to what used to be immigration, now known as Homeland Security. Yeah, that's another thing. And you should go through the airports with me. Just look at me for a second. I used to go to the doctor for a physical. I just go to the airport. They take an x-ray. They feel me up. They say, you're good. I remember I was coming through the Norfolk Airport in Virginia one time, and I got this guy who just liked my body parts, I guess, and he just kept going there, and so they have no sense of humor. So one time he went there, and I went, woo! He didn't think that was funny. So I went down to immigration services and applied for what is known as a work permit. And they denied me a work permit because Americans were our jobs, and they were not going to give an American's job to a foreigner. But I needed to eat. How many of you know that the rumors are true? If you don't eat regularly, your body goes one place and your spirit goes another place. And so I would go up and down the street that the college was on, and I would knock on people's doors, strangers' doors, just knock on people's doors, say, can I mow your lawn? Can I rake your yard? Can I sweep your sidewalk? Can I clean your gutters? Can I wash your windows? Can I do anything? And they'll say, go away. I said to them, I do it for you free. I said, what do you want? I said, after I'm done, just fix me a peanut butter jelly sandwich. And that is how life was in those days. About a quarter of a mile from the college, there was a grocery store called Simpson's. Simpson's about half the size of this room, about like that. Simpson's grocery store. I went in there and I talked to the manager. I said, do you ever throw food away? He said, yeah, we have to. Everything's got an expiration date on it. I said, have you heard of hungry children in India? He said he had. I said, well, the Indian is here. So I worked out a deal with him. He could not give me food for legal reasons. He could not hand it to me. So every so often I'd go to Simpson's grocery store and I would pack it in brown paper bags. He could not give it to me, and we'd walk out of the back door of the grocery store, and across the parking lot was a 6-foot dumpster. And I said to him, throw it in real carefully. He would. When he wasn't back inside the store, I'd jump inside the dumpster. In case you want to go dumpster diving, can I give you some expert advice? Getting in is easier than getting out, because the insides are totally different from the outside. And that would be my groceries that I would take with me. It was during those days that I had never done laundry before. I'd never, in India, ladies do that kind of work. I have taken my wife there many times trying to teach her how godly women do work, and she's a white woman, rebellious like you all, and so she said, no, babe, we're just going home, so we're just visiting here. So I had never done laundry. I didn't know you had to separate the white from the other. So I put them all in there into laundromat on the campus, and put the quarter. In those days, you could do that for a quarter, and cha-ching, I pulled them all out, everything, pulled it all out, put it in this commercial dryer, it was a vertical commercial dryer, and it had a lever for a dime. It had a lever, hot, warm. I'm saying common sense is you're drying, you want hot. Why do they even have choices? So I did all that, took it all to my room, and next morning when I was trying to get dressed, nothing fit. My pants were like this, my sleeves were like that, and everything like with a coat of many colors. And I remember going to classes the next morning, and there was a young man in there with great sense of discernment. His name was Larry King. Larry King was a student. Larry King looked at me. He said, "Sam, you need some new clothes." I always like people who have discernment. So after class, he put me in his car, took me down to Glenwood Avenue, down to the Goodwill store. Goodwill store. It's still there, by the way, the same store. Goodwill store. He gave me 20 bucks. Said, go buy some stuff. 1974. Goodwill. 20 bucks. It's like not a blue light special, a blue light special. I got a whole buggy full of clothes. I'm here because of a bowl of rice. I'm here because Bob and Vivian Steinbauer invested $1,000 in my life. I'm here because Larry King bought me my first set of clothes in America. I still remember my first set of new clothes in America. Paulette and Dwayne Thomas. They were attending our church, and there was a church on the campus. And after Sunday morning service, they said to me, "Sam, we want to take you out for lunch and buy you some clothes." So they took me to a cafeteria called Piccadilly. Do you all have Piccadillys over here? Or used to, or whatever? And, there's just food everywhere. And I put some rolls in my pockets, and, when you don't know where you're going to get your next meal, you just do what you got to do. And then I remember they took me down to J.C. Penney. I still remember my first set of new clothes. I bought a beige silk turtleneck shirt. I bought black polyester pants with ruffles. Mhm. They didn't have my shoes, so we had to go to Kmart for my shoes that I was looking for. And it had soles like this and heels like this. It had 5 colors. That babies could walk all by themselves. I'm here because of Paulette and Dwayne Thomas. There was a lady in our church. Her name was Ruth Weeks. Uh, every church has at least one of them. The lights are on, but ain't nobody home. The elevator just kind of stops right here. So Ruth Weeks was one of those people who wore fuddy-duddy clothes and mismatched hats and always muttered under her breath, and older lady, and nobody really wanted to talk to her. So by now, the college had given me a part-time job to be their janitor, and so my job was to open and close the church. So it was a Thursday night, midweek service. That's when we had it, and I'd gone. I was just waiting for people to leave so that I could go back and close the church, lock it up. And as I was going inside the church, Ruth Weeks was walking out. There's just the two of us. There's nowhere for me to go. So there we were. So I said something to her. I'm sure I said something like, "How are your sister Weeks?" And I don't know what she said. She shook my hand. And when I opened my hand, there was a piece of paper in there. But then she was gone. I looked at it. It was a dollar bill. In those days, you could go to McDonald's, get a Big Mac, order fries, couldn't supersize it, order fries and a drink, and have 2 pennies left over. She gave me $1. After that, if nobody shook her hand, I did. For 3 years. Every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Thursday night, Ruth Weeks gave me $1. You Google her, you won't find her. I was stupid in those days. I don't know anything about her. Didn't know where she lived, didn't have enough common sense. I've kicked myself all over the place these years. I didn't know anything about her. All I knew was she was going to give me a buck. I'm here because of bowl of rice. I'm here because of Bob and Vivian Steinbau with $1,000. I'm here because of Larry King and Goodwill. Paulette Dwayne Thomas buying me clothes at J.C. Penney and Kmart. Ruth Weeks. There was a young couple, Alan and Vicky Skelton. Right now they are missionaries in Honduras. Probably the most dangerous place on this planet right now. And they were students, but they got married, so they had an apartment right down the road. And the Lord revealed to me that they have dinner at 5 o'clock. You'll be amazed the things the Lord will reveal to you. So I started going to the house to fellowship at 5 o'clock. But they didn't have any money, and I had a big appetite, and so they moved their dinner from 5 to 7. I can wait. But they fed me hundreds of meals. I'm here because of Alan and Vicky Skelton. The college gave me a job to be their breakfast cook, dishwasher, and janitor. So I'd get up every morning at 4 o'clock, cook dozens and dozens of eggs and bacon and sausage and gravy and biscuits and grits. I know you all don't eat grits. Or do you? You do? Okay. So I learned to cook grits the old-fashioned way over a slow flame and stuff like that. And as a janitor, part of my job was to go pick up trash. And one day I went into the dean's office, and he had an assistant. She was also a student. She would come down from Michigan to be a student, and she was his secretary. So I was picking up her trash. I saw her, and I went, mm-hmm. So I became a very regular trash picker-upper. So after 3.5 years of doing that, she saw some gifts in my life. She said, he can cook, he can do dishes, he can carry out the trash. So she offered me a full-time employment opportunity. And I have been her employee now for 39 years. Still doing the same 3 things. When I was at Pastor Rick's church, somebody reminded me that they heard me say the sentence I'm about to say. Whenever you see a turtle on a fence post, one thing about the turtle, it didn't get there by itself. Somebody picked up that turtle. I'm here not because I'm here. You just don't see the many, many shoulders I'm standing on right now. People who have fed me, people who have clothed me, people who bought tires for me, people who have taken me in when I didn't have a house to live in, people who open doors for me, people who invite me to speak at the church, people invited me to speak at the church when they could not understand a word I was saying. People were kind to me. But there's something about not forgetting about those who've been big in our life. The tragedy of ministry is that after a while we start thinking we're all that. And we forget the people who brought us to where we are. So my dear brothers, turtles and sister turtlettes, you didn't come here by yourself. Can I just say another sentence? You didn't come here, you've been brought here. I have been brought here. I didn't come here by myself. So right now, people introduce me on all these platforms, and I get to speak to amazing churches. I get to speak to great corporations. I get to travel. I'm living a good life. But I don't want to ever forget where I've come from. Because you start believing your own press. You start because after something is over, people say, "Oh, I read that so good. Oh, that really blessed me." And you start saying, "Yeah, Is there anybody else who wants to say that?" But just the mere fact of walking up to somebody and saying the two words, which are what? Thank you. Thank you. In Luke chapter 17, notice I'm talking from the Bible. Luke chapter 17, there's a story of the 10 lepers. You all have preached from that. I want to highlight just one portion of that. So they all are cleansed. Jesus sends them away. All of us have preached from what happens next. Let's pick it up right over there. Verse 15. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back and with a loud voice glorified God and fell down on his face at his feet, giving him what? Thanks. For he was a Samaritan. Verse 17. And Jesus answering said, were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? There are not found that return to give glory to God save the stranger. Verse 19. And he said unto him, arise, go thy way, thy faith had made thee whole. Everyone say whole. That's an interesting word, sozo. That's an interesting word. You see, all 10 were healed, but only one was made whole. I want you to get that. And relax, I'm not going to take this point and preach it, because I'm tempted to go there and talk to you about. So I'm not going to do that. Because I want us to realize that big difference is all 10 were healed, but only one was made whole. And the only difference was that he came back to say, thank you. Not long ago, I saw a picture in the Los Angeles Times. Picture of a man and a woman. They had never met before. This is the first time they were meeting. In this picture, this woman has her head on this man's chest. They are strangers, but she has her head on his chest. Here's the rest of the story. This woman had a daughter who died in a car accident. She was a donor. This man needed a heart. So they harvested her heart and put it in this man's chest. And now this mother was sitting there, put with her head on his chest, listening to her daughter's heartbeat. If you were to put your head on my chest, there'd be a bowl of rice. There'd be Bob and Vivian Steinbau. There'd be Larry King and Goodwill. There'd be Paulette and Dwayne Thomas and J.C. Penney and Kmart. There'd be Alan Vicky Skelton and their meals. There'd be Ruth Weeks with her buck. 3 years. Every week. 3 times a week. That's the heartbeat you're going to hear in here. And I just stopped by tonight to remind all of us that while all of us can be healed, the only thing standing between you and being made whole is saying, thank you. So what I'm going to do tonight is do a different kind of an altar call, if you're okay with that. In case you're wondering, it's only 7 after 8. We just started 67 minutes ago. But I saved time for this because I do want to not rush this. So if somebody can come to the keyboard, I need some traveling music. Yeah, just play anything you want to. Let me set the scene for you. What I have envisioned for tonight. What I really would like to see happen tonight. I wouldn't want anyone to use this occasion to go to the restroom. You can hold it for 10 more minutes. Unless you can't, then go. Please go. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand. I want to be very specific about this. You can play anything you want to. And I gave you warning at the front end of it that I'm going to encourage you to go to 2-3 people and simply say what? Thank you. In fact, you may want to say a couple more sentences. Thank you because. Thank you for. Thank you. And you can say 2-3 sentences. There's no rush here. And I've saved time for this because I think there's something powerful about being made whole. There's something powerful about recognizing people who've been big in our life. There's something powerful about knowing that we're not all that. There's something powerful about knowing that other people have brought us to where we are. There's something powerful about recognizing that as has been sown in our life, we can sow in somebody else's life. There's something about passing it on. So if you'll stand with me. On your mark, get set, go. You'll have to move from where you are.
Thank you. You will make it my life. Thank you. You gave me a prayer when I needed one. Thank you. encouraged me when I needed the most. Thank you. You prayed with me when I needed it. Thank you. You sent me a note. Thank you. You messaged me. Thank you. You opened doors for me. Thank you. You hired me when I needed a job. Thank you. When I was so discouraged, you encouraged me. Thank you. When I didn't know what I was going to do, you gave me counsel. Thank you. When I did not know what to do, you were there for me. Thank you. When I was so lost, you held a flashlight for me. Thank you. When I didn't know, you said it's okay not to know. Thank you. When you just hugged me for no reason. Thank you. You accepted me for who I was. Thank you. You let my children, you let my grandchildren. Thank you. You called my husband, you called my wife to encourage them. Thank you. You gave me praise with me when I needed that prayer. Thank you. When I did not know what to do, you counseled me. Thank you. You've been my friend. Thank you. Even when I have not done it right the whole time, you accepted me. Thank you. You've been there for me in the good times. Thank you. You've been there with me in the bad times. Thank you. You celebrated life with me. Thank you. You've always been my encouragement. Thank you. Stop. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Keep moving, keep moving. Find somebody else, find somebody else. Find somebody else, find somebody else. Just thank you. Tell them what you're thankful for. Tell them what you're thankful for. And what you can tell them about your own meaningful thank you. You've been so good to me. Thank you. You've always been encouraging me. Thank you. You've always accepted me for who I was. Thank you. You've never been judgmental about me. Thank you. You always give me new ideas. Thank you. You've always been my friend. Thank you. Whenever I needed someone to pray with me, you were there. Thank you. 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 Thank you.
I did, didn't I?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's something.
Thank you.
I am.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish.
That was good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm feeling whole. Thank you. I'm feeling wholeness in my life. Thank you. 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 I was not going to assume that not happen to you. You have no idea how much you So,
I just realized I think I've been recording this whole thing. I unplugged it.